Welcome into the Moi Ploy Boys Dynasty Podcast, the greatest podcast that you didn't want or ask for. And now introducing your hosts, Jake the Gluten-Free Harris and Peter Cheater Pigoo Hot Sizzle O'Donnell.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men who act like children of all ages, welcome into the Moi Ploy Dynasty Boys Fantasy Football Podcast, the greatest podcast that nobody wanted or asked for. I am your host, Jake the Gluten-Free Harris, and we're going to be breaking down Raimundo's team.
Race world, tragic race starts to take.
All right, let's take a look at Ray's team. Ray, highlighted with the neon green, has one elite quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. Nothing much to say there, but he good. Kenny Pickett, a good asset, not an elite point scorer his rookie year. That could change moving forwards. He's got surrounded by weapons. Like to see it. Desmond Ritter's getting a chance to start. We're going to see what that is. Orange kind of means like not someone you can really depend on. The history of third-round quarterbacks hitting is extraordinarily low. I think that they're going to get a good look at Desmond Ridder and go, we need to find somebody else. Andy Dalton, someone who is starting and getting points, but likely to not have a job next year. I don't believe he's one of the 32 best quarterbacks. I think the guy on his team is better than him, Jameis Winston. But for some reason, they disagree. Schitchel Trubisky, it's all in the name, and Poo Lock right there. Boom. All right. Running backs, you've got Kenneth Walker, solid. Offense has been surprisingly good. Dameon Pierce, a guy, I love Dameon Pierce. He has been fantastic. I didn't want to sell him. I only sold him because I wanted a more stable asset with the picks, and I felt like Dameon Pierce is better suited for a contending team this year because his job security isn't the highest, and it's the only reason his value on Keep Trade Cut and in the Dynasty community is not higher, because he has shown he's got breakaway speed, he's got incredible contact balance, he's got great power, he can make people miss, he can run through tackles, he can catch balls, he can do everything you need a running back to do. I don't anticipate Dameon Pierce losing his job this offseason because the Houston Texans have a million other problems on their roster. They need cornerbacks. They need D-line. They need linebackers. They need quarterback. They need receivers, like tons of high-profile positions that they need to fill. Like, if you can't stop the run in the NFL, everyone on your staff's going to lose their job. Brian Robinson, another good running back in a timeshare, though. Not someone that I feel like is a hyper-talented player. But again, I think someone who is best served on a win-now team is his long-term productivity is in question. Hence his middling value. James Cook seems to be a bit of a bust. I was off of him because he was undersized. He did flash 2 weeks ago, but I don't trust it. Tyler Algier, I actually like less than Zonovan Knight because when Tyler Algier has had the chance, he ends up in a timeshare with like a fourth stringer, and in that timeshare is not particularly effective. Zonovan Knight, however, could play himself into a role as the backup to Breece Hall and might even end up in a timeshare with how damn good Damn Bam Knight has looked, which I hate for my Breece Hall share. Benjamin can't hold a job. Tristan Ebner is really just nothing. Third stringer, I guess. So he's kind of like Zonovan Knight in that he's a third stringer. It's just that Zonovan Knight's getting carries over Michael Carter and looks better than Michael Carter. Whereas Tristan Ebner, that is not true of Tristan Ebner. Now, Jerome Ford is interesting, as apparently Keep Trade Cut values him lower than Tristan Ebner. However, I like Jerome Ford because, and only because, he's bait. I think Jerome Ford is bait. Here's why. People are going to be talking about him in the offseason because, you know who's leaving Cleveland? Kareem Hunt and what's his cuck? Oh, gosh. Oh, come on. What's his freaking name? 1 second. Got to look it up. He's a Cleveland boy. D'Ernest Johnson. I knew he had a good name. D'Ernest Johnson. Both of those guys are set to be free agents. And I think that could bait someone into giving you a 25 fourth or something for him. So I would be looking to shop him because guys like Jerome Ford who can't get on the field around those people, when those people go to leave, everyone's like, oh, Jerome Ford's the next guy up. No, he gets cucked by literally anyone off the street. If Nick Chubb goes down, they hire Latavius Murray type of person and then still start him in front of Jerome Ford. Most of the time, those Jerome Fords are cucked for a reason, because they're not all that great. Travis Homer's nothing, not a reliable asset, even when the starters are gone. Matt Breida is interesting to me because he is currently your least valuable player, but if something happens to Saquon, he becomes one of your more valuable players in that he is the number 2 running back in New York. But again, I don't think he's someone who you can really count on if Saquon goes down, but I think you could bait someone else, like a Saquon owner, into trading for a Matt Breida. Christian Watson, I feel like he is currently going at, like, I have a hard time seeing how Christian Watson's value gets higher than it currently is. He's currently worth more than a Deebo Samuel, which I get because Deebo's likely done for the year, which sucks, Raymond. But with Christian Watson, I feel that it really just feels like a mirror of Chase Claypool's rookie season with a much rockier start. Now, do I trade Christian Watson away if I'm you, Raymond? No, I don't. You need the points, frankly, because you lost Deebo. Deebo, stable asset, great offense. You're definitely looking to trade him at this point since you traded for him and then he immediately went down. That sucks so bad. DJ Moore is not helping anyone right now. He could theoretically go on a crazy hot streak. He's been known to do that. He's a very streaky player. Could go on a hot streak with Sam Darnold and make a playoff push for both your team and his own team as they are in control of their own destiny somehow. Christian Kirk is another guy where it's like you need him for the points this year, but likely peaking in value as next year there's a good chance they take a receiver, Jacksonville, and they're going to have the gambling dude, Calvin Ridley. Donovan Peoples-Jones, I love Donovan Peoples-Jones. I statted him out, and I predicted his breakout perfectly. However, he's not a guy who has a high team investment, meaning he doesn't have a high job security. But I do believe that DPJ is the reason that Will, whatever the hell his name is, Steroid Will, is currently still out of a job. Speaking of steroids.
Beaver tranquilizer.
Juju Smith-Schuster, another interesting one. He's been solid for the Chiefs, but not elite. He's had a couple of great weeks. Ultimately, I feel like he's a wide receiver 3. Solid, dependable. Bottom's going to fall out of him at some point, but you need the points, right? The points. Points are for you and anyone in the playoffs. Points are the most valuable thing, not keep trade cut values. Nico Collins, I believe, is someone that when he's healthy, you could start him this year in a pinch. That said, I fully expect Collins to get cucked at the end of the season through the draft or free agency. Tyquan Thornton, if he had some juice, he would have shown it by now. I feel like Tyquan Thornton is a potential trade bait candidate. Somehow he's actually sitting at like 2,000 or so numerical value on keep trade cut. I would absolutely be looking to ship him off because I don't think that they're going to use him properly in New England. Excuse me. Michael Thomas is one of those guys where when he's healthy, he scores points. He hasn't been healthy in 3 years. I've got him yellow because no one's going to want him. And next year, you're probably going to be contending again. And Michael Thomas might just score you some points in the meantime before he gets injured. And literally every other receiver in your roster is pretty much trash and does not warrant any discussion. If any of these guys end up flashing for any reason, and you can get any sort of even mid-season fab or postseason fab for them, you take it. Mid-season fab is much less valuable in this league because of how deep the rosters are. But postseason fab is extremely valuable. Tight ends, I think you got Hawkinson back after trading him away, which leaves you Cade Otton, Jeremy Ruckert, Jordan Atkins. I like Hawk. Good, young, long-term asset. Very stable. Not really going to go anywhere. He's going to be a top 7 tight end for the next 5 years, most likely. Cade Otton, we'll see. The reason I have Cade Otton in yellow here and not like a light green is because there's a decent chance that Cade Otton gets cucked by a lot of guys have Mike Mayer going to Tampa Bay. Jeremy Ruckert's done fuck all his freshman season. I think you could just get rid of, honestly, you could cut him and let someone else, bait someone else into rostering him and maybe throwing something that's more valuable back on the waiver wire, or just bait them into holding a Jeremy Ruckert this offseason. Jordan Akins, he's at least scoring some points. So if Hawk goes down, you're probably choosing between Akins and Otton. Not great choices, though. Otton is younger, so he's obviously the more valuable asset. But as far as points, because points are the most valuable thing, you flip a coin between those two, frankly. Let me make sure that I'm not just talking out of my ass, because I don't think Otton's been doing that much better now. Akins' most recent finishes are 10, 3, 16, 5, 1. And Otton has been 6, 15, 0, 6, 18. So Otton's definitely been better. The 0 sucks, though. And Otton is also in a better offense, even if it's just marginally so. So there's not a huge amount of value for Akins being on your roster there. That's all I've got for your players. Let's talk about your picks. All right. We're going to show you the next screen. I am ready to go to sleep. Going to bed right after this. All right, Craymundo. Here's how your team stacks up with players owned. You've actually put together a top 3 player value. That's not production, that's value. Player value. That's really good, Ray. You've hit on a lot of your picks. Well done. You missed on a couple, but you hit on many more than you missed on. You did a great job scrambling together a season out of what, honestly, when we talked earlier, we both agreed was one of the worst rosters. And I think you've salvaged, not only have you salvaged a season, but you're actually sitting in a place where you could make a championship run. The guy you're going up against next week is vulnerable. Tom, even though he's the number 1 player in the league, is vulnerable. I think that Lamar Jackson has a real chance of not playing. Josh Jacobs is banged up. Saquon Barkley's injury prone. Anything could happen. Geno Smith is a little bit. You might end up facing, Mike Williams has been in and out. Anything can happen. He's got dealing with a lot of injuries. He's very thin at quarterback. If something happens to Tua or Geno, he's literally out of starting quarterbacks. He would have none at that point. So I think that is it's very, very winnable for you. Now let's take a look at the picks here. Raymundo, considering your picks, it bumps you down to 5th. Now, the picks you do have, you've got 2 firsts and 2 seconds. Both of these are in 24. So you don't have any 23 valuable picks. That's fine, because there are people, myself, who do value these 24 picks quite highly. Personally, I think you have a very good chance to get past Juan, as Juan has been extremely stingy with his draft picks, and you've shown the ability to wheel, deal, and flex your assets around in order to address the needs that you have at the time. You're not hanging on to your players like, no, TJ Hawkinson is mine. I want him on my team forever and for always. Like, you're not married to these players. I love that about you and how you've managed this roster. It's the reason you've gotten yourself to the playoffs. And I hope to see more wheels and deals and steals coming out of you. Now, unfortunately, because you waited a little bit into the playoffs, you are going to be charged a premium for some of these guys. Your starting roster, I would definitely be looking to start like an Isaiah Pacheco over a Brian Robinson. This is a sales pitch, Raymond. I think Isaiah Pacheco makes way more sense than Brian Robinson this week. I'm not super thrilled about starting DJ Moore or Andy Dalton. I might slap. Oh God, Desmond Ridder didn't really run in college, even though he was the fastest quarterback at the combine. He wasn't really a runner in college. If you could, I anticipate Ritter's going to be just kind of a mobile pocket passer. And I feel like you should double check that, because I'm regurgitating secondhand what I heard from someone else when I was watching a video today about Desmond not running in college. You should fact check that. But if that turns out to be true, which I'm pretty sure it is, you should try and sell Ridder for trade up. You know, you've got him in the second round, see if you can get a first for him. 25, 24 first. I don't feel like Ritter's really part of your long-term future, and he's not part of your short-term winning either, which kind of means you don't really need him on your team. And if you could flip him and turn him into a first, that could potentially become an asset that you are definitely going to need moving forward. Because I think there's also a good chance that Ridder gets cucked in the draft this year. All right. Raymond, your draft picks. Yes, you do have valuable ones. Those 24 picks are very valuable. The seconds and the firsts, I like them a lot. And I think you have a chance, because I feel like Juan has been so stingy that you can get past Juan, considering that your team is already significantly more valuable than his. He's very vulnerable at quarterback, and he's also pretty vulnerable at tight end. As I don't think Goddard on his first week back is going to be an elite producer, and Hayden Hurst is injured, and I think he's currently starting Noah Gray. So Juan is very vulnerable. He's been very stingy, and I think that you have a chance to be aggressive, leapfrog him. And if it doesn't work out, then you take those point scoring assets that you just bought, and you can sell them to a different playoff team. All right. The trick is you got to find the right playoff team. There's playoff teams that have injured players, and that's what you'd be having to target. That's really all I have for you, Raymond. You know I love you, Bretta. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it showed you something. I hope you learned, or even if you didn't learn shit. I'm just out here talking about out my ass. I hope you enjoyed me talking about your team out of my ass. I really like the young core you've put together at running back talent with Pierce and Kenneth Walker. It's a great 1-2 to build around, man. Fantastic. Christian Watson and Debo, fantastic assets. Plus, you could sell Debo for more scoring. Like, Debo, in my opinion, is basically it's like having an extra first round pick for you at the moment, because Debo's gone for the season. So just consider Debo to be a first rounder that you could use to buy more point scoring assets. And I think you've done a great job of getting guys like Christian Kirk, like Donovan Peoples-Jones, like Juju Smith-Schuster on your team and scoring points. Now, Kirk, I feel like if you get knocked out, the guys that I would sell, sorry, I know I said I was wrapping it up, but if you get knocked out, the guys, in my opinion, that you have to sell: Christian Kirk, Nico Collins, no one really wants him for that value. I think if you get a fourth for Nico, I'd take it. Tyquan Thornton, if you can get a fourth for Tyquan, I would take it. No one's going to pay you for any of them. Tyler Algier, if you can get a fourth for Tyler Algier, or maybe a third for Algier, you can probably get a third for Algier. I'd take it. James Cook, if you could get a second for Cook, I'd take it. If you could get a Brian Robinson, Dameon Pierce, I wouldn't be selling necessarily Brian Robinson just to sell him, but if you get it first, I would take it. Zonovan Knight, if you could get a second for Zonovan, people are going to need points. He's scoring a fuck ton of them. I would slam dunk a second round pick for Zonovan Knight, because this upcoming class is going to be deep. It's going to be a very deep running back class. There's going to be guys available in the early to late second round of our rookie draft that are going to be highly valuable for you. As I'll point them out later when we start talking about rookies, but those are the guys I'd be looking to trade for sure come the offseason if you don't end up making it. brother, I will catch you later. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good day. I hope this helped get you through the Friday. Later.